The people Donald Trump wants to appoint to lifetime federal judge positions are falling apart under the most basic questioning during their confirmation hearings before the U.S. Senate. Democratic and Republican senators are questioning these Trump picks, people seeking these lifetime federal judgeships. They're being asked the simplest questions. Is Donald Trump allowed to run for a third term as president? Who won the 2020 election? Was January 6th an attack on the U.S. Capitol? What powers does Congress have under Article 1 when it comes to the president going to war? And when these judicial picks are asked these questions, they just fall apart on live TV. The problem is, hardly anyone is seeing this outside of them. So let's spread the word and show everyone what's happening at these confirmation hearings for people who are seriously unqualified. Let's look at what happened when Democratic Senator Coons questioned Donald Trump's judicial picks for different federal district court positions around the country. Watch him ask if Donald Trump can run for a third term. Let's play this clip.
Mark, if I might, just tell me about the 22nd Amendment. What does it provide?
The 22nd Amendment, Senator, my career has mostly been in criminal prosecution. I haven't had an opportunity to use that one specifically.
Anyone able to help on the 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution?
Well, Senator, I believe it is the amendment that deals with a two-term limitation on
Correct.
service.
It states no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Mr. Mark, is President Trump eligible to run for president again in 2028?
Senator, without considering all the facts and looking at everything, depending on what the situation is, this to me strikes as more of a hypothetical of something that could be.
It's not a hypothetical. Has President Trump been elected president twice?
President Trump has been certified the president of the United States 2 times.
Is he eligible to run for a third term under our Constitution?
I would have to review the
All I need to tell you is the language of the constitutional amendment that makes it clear that no, he is not eligible to run for a third term. Anybody else brave enough to say that the Constitution of the United States prevents President Trump from seeking a third term? Anybody willing to apply the Constitution by its plain language in the 22nd Amendment? Nobody. All right, let's move.
Then Senator Blumenthal questions these people Trump wants to appoint as federal judges. Who won the 2020 election? Play this clip.
Won the 2020 election.
Senator, I wanted to be mindful of the canons here. I know this question has come up many times in these hearings, and it's become an issue of significant political dispute and debate. So with that, I'd say that that President Biden was certified the winner of the 2020 election.
He won the election. Is that your response?
Senator, I think my response is he was certified as the winner by counting the electoral.
So you're unwilling to say he won the election. How about you, Mr. Roberts?
I'm sorry, Senator.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones.
I apologize, Senator. I have the same answer as my colleague, Senator.
Same answer as the previous one?
The previous nominee. The Senate did.
Mr. Coons, how about you?
Thank you, Senator. And I have the same answer as Mr.
Same answer. Unwilling to say that Joe Biden won the election, correct?
As Mr. Hendershot said, it has become a matter of political concern, and Joe Biden.
Well, it's a matter of political concern, but it's also an issue of fact. Is it not?
Joe Biden was, in fact, certified the winner of the 2020 election.
Mr. Mark?
Same answer, Senator.
What would be wrong?
I am amazed and really appalled that nominees for a lifetime appointment to the federal bench are unwilling to respond on an issue of fact. And I'm not going to try to get an answer out of you because clearly you've been rehearsed to provide a stock answer, which I think really reflects not only on your honesty, but really on your fitness to be a federal judge, because you are supposed to be independent and to arrive at the truth based on the evidence before you. And I think it's pretty irrefutable that Joe Biden won the election, but you're unwilling to use that word because you are afraid. You are afraid of what? Of President Trump? That is exactly what we do not need on the federal bench today. We need jurists who are fearless and strong, not weak and pathetic. And I can't tell you how disappointed I am. We can disagree on issues of law. We can disagree on issues of fact, but for you to simply avoid a factual and responsive answer, I think is a disrespect to this committee as well as to another question. Was the Capitol attacked on January 6th, Mr. Hendershot?
Senator, this same kind of question has come up, I know, many times in these hearings. And under Canon 5, which I consider myself bound by, that is a matter of significant political controversy.
It's a matter of what?
It is a matter of significant political controversy.
It's a matter of controversy that the Capitol of the United States was attacked? You've seen the videos, have you not?
Senator, I've not seen many of the videos, to be honest.
How do you answer, Mr. Jones?
Senator, I also believe it is a matter of significant political controversy, and there's also a possibility that there could be litigation still over those events that could appear before me. And as a nominee, I don't believe the canons would allow me to comment on.
Well, I'm as troubled by that response as I am by Mr. Hendershot's, because there's zero chance that it will be before your court if there is any litigation. Mr. Kuhn, how do you answer?
Chair Grassley, may I?
You answer the same?
I was asking the chair if I could answer.
Just so you know, I'm waiting for Hall, and so I suppose if you want to ask questions, but I want to ask Henry. I got something.
Well, I just want to finish with our last witness here. Give him a chance. Mr. Coons, go ahead, and then I think you're going to avoid the answer too if I understand.
I do agree with my colleagues that it is a matter of political concern. I believe the language used by the Supreme Court is that there was a breach, and I would leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get to.
Even MAGA Republican Senator Kennedy from Louisiana was shocked by the answers he got from these judges. Watch Senator Kennedy again. A MAGA Republican from Louisiana asked one of these judges about war powers, especially now that Donald Trump, acting alone or alongside Netanyahu, is in this illegal war with Iran. What power does the Senate, does Congress, actually have here? Play this clip.
Well, when does the president have to get permission of the United States Congress to use military force?
Well, Senator Kennedy, as I was discussing with Ranking Member Durbin, I do want to be careful about hypotheticals in terms of prejudging.
It's not a hypothetical. I'm asking what the Constitution says. When does the President of the United States have to get permission from Congress to use military force?
Generally, Senator, my understanding is the divisions between Article 1 and Article 2 distinguish between the war powers, which are under Article 1 and require congressional consent. Again, talking in great generalities, whereas other use of force, if I understand your question, are things that are likely committed under Article 2 to the President's commander-in-chief powers.
I have no idea what you just said, Mr. Hendershot. Let's try it again. Tell me when the President has to go to Congress to get permission to use military force.
Senator, I think is when, because the text of the Constitution, Article 1, talks about declarations of war, those would be circumstances where the President would, in a general sense, and use of force that is not war under the commander-in-chief power. I think those are under Article 2 without the consultation of Congress.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I just don't understand what you said.
Then Senator Durbin questions one of these people Trump wants to appoint to a lifetime federal judgeship about his views on the Second Amendment. Since this person belongs to a gun club that believes there should be zero regulations on guns whatsoever, guns everywhere, no limits. Watch the response from this person Trump wants as a federal judge for life. Play this clip.
Share the gun owners of America view that the Second Amendment renders all gun laws unconstitutional?
Senator, respectfully, I think if I were to answer that question, it could involve both a political question and something that could come before.
But here's where we start, Mr. Jones. You voluntarily joined this organization with radical views. And now that is part of your biography before this committee. If you want to make it clear that you now have changed your views or explain why you joined the organization, here's your chance. But to duck it and say, I don't have to comment on this, is to leave us with the conclusion you agree with them.
Senator Durbin, I don't believe I'm ducking it. I don't believe, first of all, it's with the characterization of it being radical, but I would say that I don't believe as a nominee with somebody, if I were to be confirmed, cases that could come before me on the bench could involve issues involving the Second Amendment. I don't
That's
believe
right.
it would be appropriate for me in this hearing to comment on my view of the Second Amendment and what I believe it entails on those types of issues. I think that would be inappropriate as a judicial nominee.
So you say that their position that all gun laws are unconstitutional is not radical?
And again, Senator, I would say it would be improper for me to opine on something like that since matters could come before me. But I would say that for most organizations, if just because someone joins one doesn't mean they necessarily agree with everything that someone in the organization may say later on or at some point.
Mr. Hendershot.
More questioning here from Senator Durbin to another person Trump wants to appoint as a federal judge for life. Basic questions like, will you follow orders? Will you follow the law? Play this clip.
Don't permit the kind of repeated resistance to court orders that the Ohio Redistricting Commission engaged in?
Well, Senator, as my colleague mentioned, I think the judicial canons certainly apply to us here as nominees. And I think to engage with a hypothetical about, for example, a map or something like that would be inside the space of the canons fence off. So I'm happy to talk about my role.
You believe it's arguable as to whether or not a party is bound by a court order?
No, Senator, I don't think that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is my understanding of the canons, the way I take them to bind me here, is to not prejudge a case other than talking about issues at a high level of generality. Otherwise, it's to prejudge a case that may be pending or impending before.
This is just the opposite. You weren't prejudging. You were representing a client who was resisting a court order. And it says the Supreme Court of your state ruled 5 times that the maps violated the state constitution and had to rule the state's congressional maps twice. It would seem to me that as a judge, you would expect a lawful order to be followed. Is that correct?
Yes, and I do expect lawful orders to be followed. If you want, I'm distinguishing between the hypothetical that I took you to be asking about and my role representing certain members of the Ohio Redistricting Commission. I will note that there was 7 members of that separately represented. As that litigation went on, there was even further separation of the representation, and including that I ended up not representing the members for the entire time of the litigation you described.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kennedy.
Now let me show you this isn't unique to this April 15th hearing. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, at another Senate confirmation hearing, there was someone Trump wanted appointed to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, a circuit court, which is a stepping stone to the Supreme Court and sits above the district courts. Trump wants this very unqualified, young, radical right-wing extremist guy, in my opinion, named Justin Smith, to be a judge on the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. This guy shouldn't be anywhere near a federal courthouse, let alone the 8th Circuit. Watch Senator Peter Welch question him, and you'll see the same kind of answers. Play this clip.
Thank you very much. I was watching some of the earlier questions and answers, including about the election, and I just want to follow up a little bit on that. Who won the 2022 election for the United States Senate in Missouri?
Well, I think under the 17th Amendment, the election for the United States Senate is carried out a little bit differently than the election for president. Prior to the 17th Amendment, the senators, as I recall, were chosen by state legislatures, and that was the process in this country for
But I didn't ask for a history lesson. I'm asking who won the 2022 election for the United States Senate in Missouri.
Well, I think the history is important to explain that in the 17th Amendment, different than the 12th.
I'm going to interrupt you. Save it, okay? It might be important. But somebody ran and somebody won that election. I'm asking you who won that election.
Yeah, so pursuant to the 17th Amendment, the Missouri Secretary of State certified Eric Schmidt as the winner of the 2022 election.
Who won it?
As I just said, under the 17th Amendment, Eric Schmidt was certified and took the oath of office in January 2023.
That Senator Schmidt was elected?
I agree that he took office in January 2023 and that the election was cast and counted by the Missouri Secretary of State.
You know what? I believe that Senator Schmidt won that election.
In a landslide, Senator.
Well, I wasn't going to brag about it like that. But what is so hard about saying that? You were asked by Senator Blumenthal about the 2020 election, and you could not say and won't say that Joe Biden was elected by the American people to be president, right?
I think my answers have been consistent with other answers this committee has heard. That is a legal matter.
Okay, they're consistent with what every nominee has said in the rehearsed way. But you do understand that President Trump continues to deny that he lost that election and continues to assert that that election was stolen, correct?
Yeah, I want to dispute that you say these were rehearsed or canned answers. These are my answers. These are the legally correct answers.
Okay, so you are aware that President Trump continues to assert that he won the 2020 election?
I'm aware that President Trump has a lot of views on the 2020 election.
Here's the worry here. You know, I was here on January 6th. I was here when the mob attacked, when the gun was fired, when the mob was breaking the doors down. I didn't believe it was happening. And the reason I didn't believe it was happening is because this is the United States of America, and we believe in the peaceful transfer of power. And we renounce violence as a way to overcome the decision of the American people at the polling booth. But it did happen. And you can't acknowledge that President Biden won the popular vote. You can't acknowledge that under our process, he won the election. You can't say that. I share the apprehension that Senator Blumenthal has, that the nominees who come in here can't say the obvious. You win some elections, you lose some elections. And you as a judge still cannot just say plainly that Biden won and Trump lost. Is that the case?
I think I want any judge to be very legally precise in what they said. And I've repeatedly referred to Article 2 and to the 12th Amendment in the process.
What you're calling legally precise, a lot of people would call politically evasive. Mr. Chairman, what is the problem with acknowledging who won the election?
I have repeatedly acknowledged that Joe Biden was certified as the president in January 2021.
But what that suggests is it was like by accident, it was by subterfuge, it was somehow illegitimate. Do you believe any of those things to be the case?
I've explained the legitimate process of the Electoral College counting their votes in December of 2020. This is when those votes were cast across the country.
Under your approach, any of us can have whatever opinion we want as to whether the election was legitimate or not. You remember that then President Trump filed, I think, like 80 lawsuits, and virtually all of them except one were thrown out of court. Was there any judicial support for your view that says that there wasn't a conclusive outcome in the 2020 presidential election?
I think the view that I've shared here today is that there was a certification process that
Right.
resulted in Joe Biden being president.
Thank you. I yield back.
Senator Schiff.
And again, just so you see, this happens with every judicial nominee who appears before the Senate. They all do the same thing. Let me remind you, I showed this video back in September of 2025 where a woman named Jennifer Maskett, who Trump appointed to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, was asked a very basic question by Senator Welch and others. Who won the 2020 election? Play this clip.
2020 election.
Senator, President Biden was certified the winner of the
You can't tell me
2020
who won.
election. Well, Senator, President Biden was certified the winner of the 2020
Did he
election.
win the election, or did it just accidentally get certified?
Senator, I've answered that question. He was certified the winner of the election.
I yield back. If Congress has the authority to impose tariffs, and that is a constitutional responsibility and right we have, is that correct?
Yes, Congress has legislative responsibility for
So does the
taxing,
executive
yes.
have the legal authority to impose a tariff because the executive doesn't like what the judicial process is doing in a country like Brazil?
Senator, the question of tariffs is actively before the
I'm not
courts.
asking just about the tariffs. I'm asking, is there constitutional authority for an executive to decide to use the tool of a tariff because he disrespects and dislikes a judicial policy in another country?
Senator, my understanding of the legal basis for the tariffs is statutes that this body enacted with broad discretionary language, and tariffs within the terms of those statutes would, of course, be lawful.
Well, there you have it, folks. The clips speak for themselves. These are the people Donald Trump wants appointed for life to federal judgeships. This shouldn't be a political issue, okay? I'm a law professor, and as a lawyer, I represented Democrats, Republicans, and independents when I practiced law. I never asked people which political party they belonged to back when I was practicing. I followed the law. I followed the law, the facts, the truth, and the rules of evidence. So it's deeply disturbing to me, not on a political level, but on a love of the law level, to watch these authoritarians and fascists get picked by a fascist administration, and to see the rule of law under attack by truly dangerous and foolish people. It's vile, absolutely vile to watch, but we have to see it. We have to open our eyes to what's happening.